Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Kamu and welcome to another video. Yesterday, finally the Gwent patch arrived and there are already a lot of new decks at the top of the leaderboard, one of which is SuperJJ and Lifecoach's deck, and they managed to get to rank 5 in around 4 hours from rank 300 with 2 accounts. So I will show you the deck and we will analyze it, and then at the later part of this video I will show you some gameplay and show you how the deck is played. But first, let's just dive in and create the deck from scratch. So first of all, let's look at the bronze slots and what is core. And the core is the nekkers. In every deck where it is consumed, we put in nekkers, because whenever an ally is consumed, a card, while this unit is in your hand, deck, or on your side of the board, boosts self by 1. Also, it has a death wish and says that we play another decker from your deck, which means that if this guy dies, another one is spawned. And if we consume a lot, they will be pretty strong in stats, and this is the core. Definitely the most important card in every consume deck. Also, we have the harpies. The harpies are pretty insane. They got nerfed from 5 to 4, but they are still pretty insane because they spawn 2 harpy eggs, and these, when they are consumed by another unit, boost that unit by additional 5, and they have also a death wish which spawns a harpy which has 3 stats on a random row, which means that if everything goes well and you consume both eggs and you play the harpy, this harpy is actually 20 stats, and that's totally nuts. So this is also an auto include. Also, when it comes to consume, we have to play vran warriors, because the vran warriors, they consume the unit to the right every 2 turns. So they are basically the consumers of our deck, and very core. Also, what is core is the arachas behemoth. This is what Lifecoach decided that he wants to play, because whenever an ally is consumed, they spawn an arachas and damage themselves by 1. They also have 2 armors, but every time everything is consumed and they are on board, they create an arachas, which is 3 stats, and then they damage themselves, so they basically get +2 stats for each consume, which means that overall they can get up to 18 stats, which is pretty good. When it comes to the rest of the bronze slots, they are actually flex spots. And what he decided to put in is arachas. And arachas, they are spawned from your deck as soon as an arachas is deployed. So what happens is that you play the arachas behemoth, you consume something, they create an arachas, and these 3 cards are spawned from your deck. So they are deck thinning and 9 stats immediately, which makes them very solid. So let's dive into the silver slots. The silver slots are, of course, the crowns. The crowns say that if you deploy one of them, you play the other ones. So they are basically 20 stats in 1 card, which is also pretty insane, despite the fact that they also thin the deck, which is also a positive effect. So they are pretty much core. Also, what is core is the katakan, because the katakan consumes a unit from either graveyard, which means that this card is probably always at least 11 or 12 stats, but it consumes. So it also has synergy with the arachas behemoths and the nekkers. So this is also an auto include. And when it comes to the rest of the silver slots, SuperJJ and Lifecoach decided to put in the fiend. And I think this is a good choice, because the fiend, what it does is if you deploy this card, it toggles the unit's luck, and if it's an enemy, damage it by half its power, rounding down and ignoring armor. And what we see right now is, despite everyone's predictions, there are a lot of skelegers. And they play X-Men, and they play Savage Bears, and they play Morkvark, and the Fiend disrupts that, which makes it a really good card. When it comes to the last silver slot, they decided to put in the Alsos double cross. And the reason for that is, first of all, it pulls you the crowns. If you don't have them, this is very strong because you play a silver card and get 22 stats from it. And you thin the deck by 3 cards. And if you already have the Bruise in your deck and you played her, then you get an arachas behemoth. And as we said, it damages as soon as something is consumed and it creates an arachas. But if we get it with Alsos double cross, what happens is that we pull an arachas behemoth with 8 stats from the deck. So these are additional 4 stats because you can consume more and create more arachas. So this synergizes very well with the crowns and the behemoths. When it comes to the golden slots, they are very tight actually in monsters. And the first slot is given to the Guilds. Because Guilds, if you deploy him, he draws the top gold card and the top silver card from your deck, and you play one and the other is returned to the top of your deck. Which means that if you play him and you play, for example, the silver card, then you get the other gold card on the top of your deck and draw it in later rounds, which makes this card pretty insane. Also, you have the option of getting a silver card that you need, or a golden card that you need at a specific time. So this makes this deck more solid and more well-defined, and it's not so reliable. And you get the golden cards and silver cards more often, which is definitely very good. Another core card is the Regis, the Higher Vampire. And if you deploy this guy, he looks at 3 random bronze units from your opponent's deck, and it consumes 1 and shuffles the others back. And what that means is that he might interrupt a combo in your opponent's deck. For example, if it's a consume deck, you can consume a behemoth, which disrupts the combo, right? And what it also does is it consumes. And when it consumes, every time it consumes, the nekkers get buffed or an arachas is spawned. So this is, in a consume deck, probably also very stable. For the last 2 cards, what they decided to do was to put in the succubus. And that is actually not normal, because people consider succubus not being good. But what it does first is, if you play it on your opponent's side because it's a spy. And then after 2 turns, at the start of your turn, move the highest other unit on its row to your side. That means that you give your opponent 6 stats and you steal the highest card. And if the highest card is around 10 stats or more, this card is equal. But what you really want is, with this card, is to play it against Skellige. Because what you get with her is Morkvark, and Morkvark is a lot more stats than 10 stats. And also you can get a bear, and a bear is also very much more than 10 stats, especially for your opponent. Because if your opponent plays the bear, you can play, for example, a harpy or foglets or arachas. And so this really much steals the best, right? The bear or the Morkvark, and then it's always worth it. So this is what they included, especially because of Skellige. And another card they put in was the Renew. And the Renew resurrects a golden unit from either graveyard. So preferably you can use it to play another succubus, for example, to get another bear to your side, which your opponent can resurrect, or maybe an X-Men that is buffed to 30 stats, or something else against monster consume, for example, anything that consumed many stats and is of high value. So with this card, you can resurrect the succubus, which is really good. So this is the deck that they play. They already defined it yesterday throughout the day. This is the final version that they came up with yesterday, and I think it's really strong. Again, they played it to rank 5, and yeah, so let's dive in to the gameplay. Okay, so here we play against Monster, and Monster Consume player, which obviously is spread among the top players very rapidly, and we want to mulligan away the arachas first and blacklist them. We have 1 bruise, and we usually don't want to play nekkers in the first round, and so let's get rid of them. And of course we only want 1 bruise, and so let's get rid of the weaker one. So this is our consume train. We have the ram warriors who consume, and the behemoth that gets stronger and spawn arachas whenever something is consumed. But we want to consume the eggs, so we want to play the harpies and the behemoths first. And that's what we do. Actually, that was the wrong row. I wanted to pull it in the front row, but okay. Very good. So now we can play the arachas behemoth and we can start the train. So we definitely want to mirror him. Let's do so. And whenever we consume, our arachas behemoth spawns an arachas, and whenever an arachas is deployed, the 3 of our deck will be just put in the board, like you saw. That's why we have 3 cards less than him. So we probably can place the behemoth and just get the exponential deck growing, right? So let's get the celeano harpy out there. And we will also start to consume in the front row. We really want to get rid of the behemoths. We really want all the strength that we get from them. Now the consume train is starting to get really fast on track. And we can decide whether we want to play the harpy or not. And we're 20 stats ahead. Obviously, we have to wait for what he will play, but we'll have the crones as our tempo play, and also he will have probably the crowns. So we have to keep that in mind. So if we think that he can overcome us with 20 stats, we cannot pass. Or we should not pass. So he ate the nekker, which is bad for us. But we could do actually the same. And we could eat a nekker. But I think we should do that in the next round. Because nekkers get stronger and it doesn't matter when we play it, or when we eat them. So let's just do it this way. Let's just force the win. As long as we stay ahead, it's pretty insane, because if we win with equal cards, that's absolutely what we want. So we now have to keep in mind is that he will eat nekkers soon, and he will spawn another nekkers. So that's not optimal. And I think we can pass now. If he plays the crowns, we will eat an egg, and this will not be enough. Unless he, of course, consumes the nekker. Actually, what he does, that's what he will do. And so, yeah, but what can you do, right? Maybe we could have played a regis. That could have been a very good card. Okay, he plays the tempo play. And it's not enough for us because he eats another nekker. So we probably should have eaten a nekker. That's probably what we should have done. So we did a mistake, we get punished for it, but we played 2 cards. Actually, he's 2 cards behind, that's what I meant. And the succubus is actually extremely good. That's actually insane. So wherever he plays, we play a succubus first, of course, because really want to get this guy fast out there. And it will draw us another nekkers, actually. So that's really fantastic. There you can see the power of the succubus. In some cases against the monster consume, or for example against Gallagher, succubus is just insane. Excuse me. You'll probably eat it now. And then we get the 4th nekker, and we'll eat the 5th. That's our plan. So he eats, decides to eat 1 egg and to leave the other egg. The reason why he left the other egg is because he thought that these stats that he doesn't need it in this round, and he wants the harpy in the round 3. So we obviously eat the nekker. So that's 20 stats regis. In the mirror, it's insane. This card in the mirror is just insane. So unfortunately it gets shackled. But is there any gold card we can resurrect? Nope. And nope. Okay, so renew we cannot play. This fiend can't overcome his opponent's stats, and our hero power can't overcome it as well, so we should play the crowns here. Okay, so he passes, and we definitely hope to get a nekker. That's or double cross. That's also good. Double cross is actually better. Very good. So the question is if we should keep the fiend or not. And it's very close, and I think I don't want to draw a nekker. Because the Gwent tracker, he doesn't keep track of... it did a mistake there. We actually have 2 nekkers in our deck. And before he can renew and eat one of them, we should try to get it out fast. He already played the fiend, so we shouldn't be too afraid.
Naivety is a fool's blessing.
So obviously he should play... well, that's a mistake. I think that's a mistake actually, yeah. And that's how you win against a top 500 player. Again, this deck is really good. Just check it out. Let's try it out, and I will definitely upload more of those kind of videos, more gameplay of this deck, and I will also upload more videos of other decks that I will see at the top of the leaderboard. So if you want to see them, stay tuned and have a nice day, and bye.